He's late as always. Laura paces the room, arms crossed. He always talks about practicing his magic, but what he really needs to practice is getting places on time. Waltz and I exchange a look. The two of us are sitting in the settee, holding a hand. There's a tinge of exasperation in Waltz's smile.
Typical Senna.
Ha!
Oh
I was
boy.
wondering when he'd show up.
Was he even in the last story?
No.
I was muted in the thing the whole time. Fuck. I need to go back, because I was muted. I'm sorry.
Genius.
Okay.
What?
I don't think he was even in the last one. We didn't really see anyone. I was muted, so no one heard me aside from you guys.
He was mentioned,
Yeah.
but that was it.
Alright. He's late as always. Laura paces the room, arms crossed. He always talks about practicing his magic, but what he really needs to practice is getting the places on time. Waltz and I exchange a look. The two of us are sitting in the settee, holding hands. There's a tinge of exasperation in Waltz's smile.
Typical Senna.
Today I've come to the Martian to discuss the tenacious relationship between humans and Lucius with Cinna, the newly dubbed Lucius Bear. All of us are surprised when Cinna suddenly showed up at the Martian a little less than 2 years ago, claiming to be Parfait's relative and the next bearer of the Lucius. It turned out Parfait had prepared him long before she passed, though she made it clear she never wanted him to take over at such a young age. Many fairies have voiced their concern that he's too young and inexperienced to be the bearer. I myself have not spoken too often with Cinna, but based on our meetings, I believe him to be more than capable. Still, even if he is Lucius Bear, he's still young and has much to learn about properties. Or priorities. Where is he now? Dolores snorts. He left this morning to go hunt for some special beetle. A beetle? Waltz laughs.
Another one? He was telling me the other day he caught some rare horned beetle.
I hope you don't praise him too much, that you inspire him to add to his collection. Waltz grins.
It wasn't my praise that inspired him. Cinna's just dedicated to his hobby.
Out of all the hobbies to have.
Collections are especially fun when you're growing up. Sorry, I found a sandwich.
Ah, what kind of sandwich?
Ham and cheddar.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
I've always enjoyed collecting dolls. I collect Monster High dolls, that's about it. For doll collecting. Laura makes dolls make a much better collection than very alive insects.
How dare you insult my insects?
Yay!
Cinna walks in, lips downturned in his usual frown. You always have very good hearing. Too bad your time management leaves much to be desired. Cinna's scowl intensifies.
Is that how you talk to the Lucius Bearer?
Laura flashes a smile so intimidating that Cinna falters. It is when the Lucius Bearer is a
Recalcitrant
child.
The
Ha!
fuck?
That was hard to say child right after that. It's too many hard C consonants. Sounds, whatever you want to call it. Alright. Cinna walks quietly over to one of the chairs Laura has set up and sits. He clears his throat.
Sorry.
So tiny. I don't know if it showed up on stream, but sorry was like 1/3 the size of the normal words. The word is
So adorable.
The word is a low mumble, barely audible. Try not to keep the queen waiting so long next time.
Fine. Oh, it's in bold and italics that time.
Besides me, Waltz looks like he's trying hard
The eye roll.
not to laugh. He told me once that Delora makes a good stand-in mother for Cinna. I can't help but agree. I'm glad for their banter. With just two of them living in the Martian now.
Stand-in mother.
Yeah. With the two of them living in the Martian now, this place has become extremely quiet. When Waltz comes here weekly to teach his students, the tavern is usually empty on account of no longer being open to the public. Makes me sad sometimes, but then I think of how happy everyone is now, being able to live without being cursed. Merch may be different, but I'm glad to hear it's still here. It feels like a sanctuary, even now.
Yeah.
Cinna sighs.
Since you're all so eager to start, we should get to it.
Cinna looks at Waltz expectantly.
You're the one compiling all the reports on the witch crimes, right? Can you provide a summary?
Of course.
Waltz provides a brief summary of the reports we've received over the last few months. So far, there have been no major incidents involving corrupted witches, but there's still been a few crimes cropping up here and there.
We've just recently added witches to our patrol.
And has that led to any impactful changes?
We've been more prepared to handle magic with magic, but being more prepared hasn't done anything to make a dent in the number of incidents. Cinna raises an eyebrow.
Are there any human hate crimes against witches?
The question takes me aback. Yes, but humans are tried in court much like any witch. These magic-induced crimes are higher up on our priority list because they result in more casualties. I frown. I would never give humans special treatment over witches. Besides, the victims of all these crimes aren't just humans. There are witch and fairy casualties, too. Cinna crosses his arms.
And how is the Tenenbaum?
Overfull. Cinna crosses one leg over the other, his ankle resting on his knee.
Have you spoken to any of the perpetrators of these crimes yourself?
We have witches and knights who handle interrogations. Sometimes Waltz and I step in. Cinna scowls.
And what about you, Queen Lucette? You're the Tenenbaum bearer. You have a responsibility to reach out to these witches.
Cinnamon.
Don't call me that.
Cinna's words cut me right to my core. It's not that I've ignored those witches. It's just that there is a procedure for dealing with them. It's the same for any criminal. As the Queen, I do not come in direct contact with any criminals unless they're being tried in court. It's not my job to interrogate them after all, but I believe Cinna has a point. The palace procedures make it impossible for me to fully conduct my responsibilities as a Tenenbaum bearer, don't they? Cinna and Delora both stop talking to look at me. As a queen, I am meant to be unbiased, but the procedures that keep me from taking sides are what keep me from speaking with the witches directly. It's true Hilda communicated more directly with the witches, but that closeness emboldened corrupted witches and intimidated those of us who didn't agree with her. Cinna shakes his head.
That's a reflection on the bearer, not on the procedure. If you're a good bearer, Lucette, you'll speak to those witches directly to try and get to the root of the problem, if there is one.
Where did you find the gall to speak like that, Cinnamon?
Stop calling me that.
No.
Waltz speaks up abruptly.
Lucette shouldn't have to communicate with them directly. The Order of Chaldeer exists to deal with those criminals.
I think we should argue because she's also the bearer. It makes sense for her to talk to the witches directly.
Yeah? That might be half the problem. Yeah, I'm okay with argue. Go for it.
What do you think, Willie?
Once again,
Sandwich?
my point does not matter, so agree.
It does matter, because if you have a counter argument that's better, then we might be convinced to swap.
Nope.
Okay.
I legitimately just don't have a point. I'm
Well,
just gonna be
Greyhawk
devil's
also
advocate.
said argue, so you were outruled by 3, I guess. I think Cinna has a point.
But Lucette, I'm more than happy to interrogate the witches with Delora and deliver the reports myself.
The comment, for some reason, makes me bristle. Waltz has been doing everything he can to help with the witches, but Cinna is right. My approach is clearly lacking. If I am to understand this problem, I must reach out to these witches directly. I must hear their testimonies firsthand before they are pressured into a confession and brought before me in the throne room. No, Cinna is right. It's my responsibility as a bearer to listen to the witches, even the corrupted ones. They are criminals, yes, but I still must hear them.
Lucette,
I know what you're going to tell me. I'm overworking myself, Waltz, but I'm the Tenenbaum bearer. I can't just shirk my responsibilities. I'm baffled by Waltz's distress. Normally he doesn't wear his emotions so openly. Normally he's supportive of my decisions.
Yay.
Why is he so adamant about this?
Yay.
I'm the Tenenbaum bearer, Waltz. I'm in no danger. Besides, I'll have you by my side during the interrogations. Yes?
Of course.
Cinna sighs.
You're welcome.
Cinnamon, your manners are truly atrocious.
You called me here to have a serious discussion, so I came for a serious discussion. Faye may have danced around issues, but I will not.
No, I suppose you have a very different way of doing things. Delora grumbles beneath her breath.
What was that?
I said, you're still very much a child. Before Cinna could say anything, I interject. A wise child, all the same. Thank you, Cinna. I appreciate your suggestion. It makes sense that Delora and Waltz will try to keep me from overworking myself. They know how much stress I'm under, after all. Cinna has no reservations. He's so blunt he would say anything on his mind, even if he did know my full situation. That's what makes him a good confidant, I suppose. Cinna leans back in his chair.
I'm happy I could help. Now, can I get back to my hunt?
The words make me smile, despite myself. He may have wisdom beyond his years, but in the end, he is still a child. Don't let us keep you any longer. Laura raises an eyebrow. It would serve you right if you got stung by something.
I'm going beetle hunting, not bee hunting. Besides, we'd never catch bees. They're important for pollination, you know.
Hello, bees.
The two of them continue bickering. It's a sound, strangely, that puts my heart at ease. I turn to Waltz, who looks troubled. Waltz, you really don't have to worry about me. Waltz? He startles.
Sorry, I was just thinking. I'm not worried about how you handle the witches, Lucette.
Then why are you so concerned?
It's nothing.
It most certainly is not. I cannot put my finger on the why of it, but something has seemed amiss with Waltz recently. Waltz's eyes dark to Cinna and Delora.
Let's talk later, okay?
If you insist. The conversation wrapped up, but the two of us excuse ourselves from the tavern. Waltz's moodiness is concerning, so I decided to take a detour back to the palace and lead Waltz through the forest on the way back.
I see we're taking the more scenic way back today.
I'd rather avoid the crowds right now. You seem tense in there. Will you talk to me now?
I have some reservations about Cinna's approach.
So I noticed. Why? If interrogating these criminals is too time-consuming a task for me, or yields no results, I'll leave it to you and the other witches. I fail to see how this proposal is a problem.
It's a problem because I know you. You take on way too much work, Lucette.
Nonsense. I'm just trying to find the balance.
Let me balance things for you, please.
Do you have little faith in me, Waltz?
No, that's not what I meant.
I appreciate everything you do for me, truly, but I'm the Tenenbaum bearer. It's my responsibility to oversee issues involving the witches. I poke him gently in the shoulder. And I'll be relying on your help, though. The motion draws the vaguest of smiles from Waltz.
Of course. Damn it.
He sighs.
I'm still not convinced it's the best suggestion, but I'll go along with whatever you think is best. Yeah, I was kind of hoping I was right for that one.
I feel like he's overreacting all of this, but why? I know something is amiss the moment we step into town. Normally, the plaza is filled with chatter and music at this time of day. Now, it's eerily quiet. What's happening?
I don't like the looks of this.
Waltz and I venture more cautiously into the square. There are a few people here and there scuttling about. But someone calls my name before I can even speak with any of them. Queen Lucette! Oh, it's Fritz. Okay. I turn to see Fritz rushing towards us, a woman at his heels. I recognize her as well. She's one of the witches who sends us reports. Fritz, what's happened?
There's been an incident in the marketplace.
Oh no. Witch set fire to more than a dozen stalls. The witch points. I follow her gaze to the smoky tendrils curling through the air a short distance away.
The fire's just been put up, and the merchants and customers who inhaled dangerous amounts of smoke are being taken to a clinic. And the witch who started the fires? He's already been taken in by the commander.
I must speak with Jurian then.
I'm gonna do a scope of the area with my men to make sure there are no accomplices.
I'll see if I can repair some of the damages done to the stalls. Thank you both for your hard work. My heart's pounding in my chest as I incline my head. We should get back to the palace.
Right.
A few of the wandering knights around the plaza accompany us back to the palace for extra protection. Jurian and Garland are waiting at the gates when I arrive. Your Majesty, there's been an incident. I let Jurian repeat what Fritz said as we walk together through the halls. She tells me the witch we added to the patrol helped the knights capture the arsonist. And where is this arsonist now?
In the dungeons. We tried to interrogate him, but we've had no luck so far.
Here it is, an opportunity for me to get to the root of the problem. Lead me to him.
I'll go with you.
The four of us make our way down to the underground dungeons. We make our way
to see his pixelated face again.
Yeah. We make our way to the designated prison cell. As of yet, there's not many cells that can hold witches. Laura and Waltz personally enchanted some of them to suffocate any form of magic, but we've only been able to charm a few areas. Thankfully, the lack of cells is not a problem. Hopefully it stays that way. Jurian and Garland stop in front of one of the cells. Here you are, Your Majesty. I squint between the wall of bars into the darkness. I see a man huddled in the corner, his back to us. Waltz moves to stand in front of me, posture stiff.
You said I can...
Let me handle this, Waltz. I peer into the bars. Your queen stands before you. Will you not acknowledge me?
You're not my queen.
The man glances over his shoulder.
The only queen I acknowledged was Queen Hilda. You're nothing but a usurper.
You will show Queen Lucette respect, or... It's alright, Jurian. I turn back to the witch, who's having his full attention. We seem to have his full attention now. Will you tell me why you did what you did? What is it you hope to achieve? Will you not speak a word in your defense? The witch says nothing, but glares daggers at us.
If you don't say anything...
The witch laughs suddenly, a hollow, cold sound.
I was wondering when you'd speak up, Waltz Cresswell. You used to be so loud. When was it that you were tamed?
Waltz narrows his eyes.
Spouting nonsense isn't going to get you anywhere. Give us answers, or you'll doom yourself to a life in this cell.
The witch smirks.
And what will you do to get those answers from me? Torture me with magic?
Waltz inhales sharply. He says nothing as he glares back at the witch. For a few moments, the two just look at each other. And then the witch smiles.
Dismiss your knights in Cresswell. Then, and only then, will I speak with you, false queen.
A shudder climbs my spine as the witch looks directly at me. He's a criminal, a witch, but I'm not an Baron bearer. You are in no position to make such demands. No, it's alright, Jurian.
Lucette?
I'll be fine. Please wait for me by the entrance.
I'm not going to leave you alone in here with a criminal.
I'm not asking, Waltz. He looks at me stunned, but I can't show weakness in front of this criminal. I can't dither.
We'll wait for you, Your Majesty.
But if we hear even the slightest disturbance, we'll be back. Thank you both. Waltz is the last to leave. He looks at me uncertainly, almost pleadingly. But when I don't budge, he eventually turns on his heel and leaves. The witch turns to me after their footsteps fade into silence.
Are you sure you want to keep Cresswell around? He betrayed the previous bearer, you know, and all for the sake of a single girl.
That single girl was me. The witch laughs.
And? That means nothing. Loyalty and love are not mutually exclusive.
Get to the point. You said you'd speak to me. He smiles at me coldly.
So I did. But I'd much rather speak of the past than the present.
That was not our agreement. The witch speaks as if he hasn't heard me.
How much do you know about the man who follows you like a shadow, about Waltz Cresswell?
We are not here to speak about Waltz.
But don't you want to know what he did for your mother? Why we call him one of the most powerful witches of his time?
He must take my silence for curiosity, because he pushes on.
The man who walks these halls with you is a murderer, one of the biggest criminals of them all, and you let him walk free.
My heart hammers in my chest. How dare you spout such lies?
Oh, it's no lie. Ask any witch and they'll tell you. Waltz Cresswell was Kriemhilder's right hand. He dealt with traitors by getting rid of them entirely. Which you speak so highly of has more blood on his hands than anyone. Why have you not punished him?
I know Waltz worked for Mother, but he never did tell me what he did for her, and... I apologize, I didn't mean to compare you to a child.
No, it isn't that, Lisette. It's more the innocent part. I'm not innocent at all, you know.
I respectfully disagree. I'll never change my opinion of you, Waltz. I always box when I call him good or innocent. The witch snorts.
Hero who ended the Great War? Hardly. Waltz Cresswell is a worse criminal than me.
I mean, I want to say it's none of your business, but technically, in a way, it kinda is.
Yeah,
so that's why I want to lean towards you have no right to judge him, because he's also a child.
He doesn't. He just finished setting fire to places. He's not...
Yeah, and he's a grown man that committed a crime, while as well as he was a child manipulated by an adult. Okay, well, Greyhawk is saying we judge him. Okay. So, Mouse is leaning here.
I mean, yeah, John, we get that you're judging the guy, but, you know, we need an answer for that.
I mean, we have a right to judge him. Alright. I carefully took my concerns away. I will not show this witch how much his words have rattled me. Whether or not you speak the truth is irrelevant. You have no right to accuse another citizen of my kingdom of such a crime. The witch seems disgruntled. Perhaps he was expecting more of an outburst from me.
You're a hypocritical ruler, then, judging some witches but not others.
I am concerned with the crimes happening under my reign. If you will not tell me about the arson attack, we are done here. The witch turns away. This business is for Waltz and I alone to discuss. How dare he think to get a rise out of me? Fine. I have given you an opportunity to speak with me. Next time I see you, it'll be in the throne room, surrounded by witnesses. I hope you are prepared to be judged then. I stifle a sigh of relief as I turn to my heels and walk away. Jerry and Garland are waiting for me by the entrance. Are you alright, Your Majesty? Garland looks over me.
Oh, were you able to get anything out of him?
Unfortunately, no. The knights exchange a look. Do you want us to try anything again before he's brought to confess? I'm doubtful he'll say anything helpful. It's hard to concentrate when I'm still thinking about our conversation, about Waltz. I glance up, noticing Waltz is not there. Where is Waltz?
Said he was going to wait for you in your room.
So unlike Waltz to leave me alone. Would you like us to escort you back, Your Majesty? I shake my head. There is no need. but please, send by a report of the damages and casualties when it's available. Has there been any word about the state of the marketplace? We received a report while we were waiting for you. Many stalls and goods were lost in the fire. Then I must think of a way to compensate the merchants for their loss. Garland coughs.
If you don't mind a piece of advice, Your Majesty.
What is it?
We won't have a full report until tomorrow. I recommend you rest for the night, and we can discuss losses and compensation tomorrow.
I nod. I think that would be best. I'll notify the advisors of my progress here, then return to my room for the night. I'm eager to speak to Waltz about all of this. Then, let us escort you as far as the throne room, at least.
We were on our way there anyway.
Thank you both. I spend the next hour doing what I can to ensure support is sent into town. After receiving multiple reports that things are stable and no other accomplices have been found, I return to my room. Just as Durian and Garland said, Waltz is waiting for me. He sits by the window, holding a familiar doll in his hands. Oh, cute! I recognize this doll he bought me 2 years ago. He looks up when I enter.
Hello, little star.
His smile is straight and undeniably sad. It breaks my heart. Hello, Waltz. I glance at the doll. Feeling nostalgic?
I was just thinking about how much you've always loved your dolls.
He runs a finger over the doll's fragile porcelain cheek.
I always felt awfully comforted when I looked at your dolls as a kid. Your room felt like a sanctuary to me back then. It still does.
I moved to sit next to Waltz. It's not just my room anymore, you know. It's our room.
Right.
Waltz sets the doll down on the table with a sigh.
So, how did the interrogation go?
He says the words slowly, intentively. I wasn't able to extract a reason from him, but he nonetheless had a lot to say about something else. Waltz looks at me quietly, expectantly. He had a lot to say about you. Waltz's expression shudders.
Me?
Waltz, do you trust me?
What kind of question is that? Of course I do.
So you would tell me the truth about anything?
I knew it was only a matter of time before this came up in one of the interrogations.
This witch, he called you a murderer, Waltz. Did you truly have to do that for Mother? Sitting with his shoulders slouched, his gaze trailed downward, Waltz looks at a mere shadow of himself. The sight breaks my heart.
I did.
Wrong button. Waltz.
I'm sorry, little star. I did a lot of terrible things in my past. Things I can't take back. Things I would do anything to take back.
Waltz looks away.
I know it seems like I've been keeping things from you, but I don't do it to keep secrets from you. I've never wanted to speak about the past. My whole life I've been trying to make up for the wrongs I committed. My parents' deaths, the humans I had to hurt for Hildur. I don't think there's anything I can ever do to make up for it.
I slide closer to him and place my hand over his. The reason you're so adamant about me not accompanying you to those interrogations was because you feared a corrupted witch would say something in my presence, wasn't it?
I meant what I said about me not wanting you to overwork yourself, but yes, that was part of it too.
Well, how long has this guilt been gnawing at you?
My whole life. It wasn't so bad when I lived at the Margin. There I could sometimes forget about everything that happened. But here in this palace, interrogating the witches, it comes back.
He looks at me, gaze somber.
I'm sorry.
For what? Well, I told you 100 times that my mother is the one who forced you to do those things.
That doesn't change the fact that people have been hurt because of me. That they've lost loved ones because of me. King Gennaro ought to have punished me for what I did.
I can still remember what Father said to Waltz when we saw us together in my room all those years ago. No, Waltz, my father was grateful to you. It's because of you my mother could be defeated in the first place. For the guilt you feel. I shake my head. I know what it's like to feel crushed by grief. I still remember the guilt that crashed down on me when I found out I was a tenant bearer. I remember the helplessness I felt when my father died before my eyes. No one can absolve you of the guilt except for you, Waltz.
Lucette.
It's true. You can't make up for the wrongs of the past. A right doesn't resolve a wrong. But Waltz, you saved this kingdom twice. You were under no orders then. No life can ever be weighed against any other, but you have saved so many people, Waltz. I place my fingers through his and gently squeeze his hand. You saved me. Waltz's hold of my hand tightens. It feels almost desperate, as if he's clinging to me.
You saved me, Lucette. You put a smile on my face when it felt like the world was crashing down on me. Around you, I could be at peace. I could be myself.
He shakes his head.
I know it's no excuse, but that's why, all this time, I didn't want to divulge anything about my past. So many orphans. I always talk about facing the present together, about not lingering on the past. And yet, the moment I started remembering everything, I lose myself. I can no longer think about the present or the future. All I can think about is how much I feel like I don't deserve any of this happiness.
You don't have to remember if it's too hard for you, Waltz. I raise my hands to my lips and kiss his knuckles. But please, I don't want you to feel like you need to hide things from me because you're scared of how I will react. Waltz swallows. For a few moments, he doesn't speak, but just sits there, holding my hand tightly. And then he speaks, his voice feather soft.
How did I get so lucky to have you in my life, little star?
Fate is cruel but brought us together, and for that I am forever grateful.
You already know that I was your mother's right hand. Myth was her left. It just doesn't have the same ring to it. The two of us did everything she ordered. Like, right-hand man just kind of like rolls off the tongue, but left-hand man just sounds weird.
Left-hand lad?
I'm stealing that one.
You're
Who will
welcome.
be
It's all
appointed
yours.
my left-hand lad? Why lad? It just sounds better.
We dealt with rebels and helped her stop uprisings. Much of it led to bloodshed. I did all of that while sneaking into your room at night. I was a criminal, but around you I felt like maybe I could be a hero. I remember when you first taught me how to sew. Your puppets put such a smile on my face. When I used to perform magic for you and you would clap for me.
Waltz smiles softly.
You inspired me. I did everything I could to make things right. Even when I lost you. Even when you no longer remembered me. I carried your light with me. I performed for the children in town. I did magic tricks and hosted puppet shows for them. I felt like maybe I could finally do something. But whenever you call me good,
He sighs.
I still feel like I'm not worthy of being called that.
I think reason would be better than just straight up disagreeing.
I mean, that's basically the same option twice.
Yeah, one's just like
Yeah.
disagreeing, but like reason gives like supporting arguments.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
how
go
I'm
with
reading
these.
it. Really?
Oh, sorry. The reason, because
Reason?
that's the right answer.
Boop.
You know what? I'm gonna say disagree, even though
Too
you've already chosen it.
bad. I
No,
shake my
I'm
head.
gonna pick disagree because
No.
I feel like being a dick to myself.
No. Do you know what I learned 2 years ago, Waltz? I learned that the line between good and bad is thin and murky. Parfait once told me that there is no balance without darkness. Just as the Tin Bear and the Lucius are two halves of one whole, we all too are made of darkness and light. But we're all capable of incredible good, and you taught me that. And when I say you're good, I acknowledge even your faults, Waltz. I love you, Waltz, especially as you are.
Waltz,
Exactly. Waltzy Waltz. Waltz leans over to plant a kiss on my cheek. I shift slightly so that I can catch his lips on my own instead. Waltz's eyes are sparkling when he pulls away.
I love you too, Lucette. Thank you for accepting me just as I am.
Always, Waltz. Please, never feel like you must keep me in the dark, understood? Waltz smiles softly, still with uncertainty in his eyes.
Crystal clear, little star.
The words are still so fragile. I stand abruptly. Before Waltz can move, I reach over and pull him into my chest. When next you feel like this, please come to me. You have seen me at my lowest, and time again, you have been there for me. I
This
want to
feels
be there
backwards.
for you, always. I run my hands gently through his hair. You promised you'd always be at my side, and I echoed your promise long ago. Please, depend on me. Waltz inhales shakily. For a few moments there is quiet, stillness. And then his arms circle my waist. He leans into me and whispers softly.
Thank you, Lucette.
Man gets the best pillow. I was waiting for someone to make that comment. I pull away from him, just far enough to look him in the eyes.
I was trying so hard to not make that joke.
I was expecting you to at least type in the Discord chat. Feel better?
The thought crossed my mind. I do.
He laughs, a little sheepishly.
I'm sorry you had to interrogate me in the end.
I nudge him gently in the shoulder. You're excused this time, but only if you agree to be honest with me in the future.
Yes, ma'am.
You have to promise me. Waltz flexes his fingers. He closes his palm, then opens it before my eyes. A light pushes up from between his fingers. He hands it to me.
I promise, Lucette.
I take the flower from him and twirl it between my fingers.
That's cheating.
Why the lily?
Chevalier once told me they stand for devotion. And a promise isn't a promise without devotion.
He says as he shows her the same magic trick again that he promised to show her and never.
And still has not taught her.
God
Yeah.
damn it, Waltz. When I
Still.
lean forward to kiss his cheek. Have you ever leaned forward to kiss your own cheek? Because apparently that's what I was about to describe. Waltz playfully pulls away. I tumble into
Yes.
his lap with a laugh, and he pulls me close, tilting my face up so that he can plant a kiss on my lips. Afterwards, I reach out to cup his cheek. I promise to, Waltz. In my peripheral vision, I see something glimmer across the sky. I don't know if it's a shooting star, but I still make another wish. Wishes for Waltz's happiness. I hope he can learn to let me carry his burdens just as he carries mine. Draped in starlight, Waltz and I share another kiss. Next chapter, next chapter. Please say it's the next chapter.
No, it's not the next chapter. We wake up
Ah,
and we're
thank
like,
goodness. We're halfway. We got this. We'll do this. It's only 10:30 and we're halfway. Neverland. And that's for the report. Laura steps back, arms crossed. What do you think, Lucette? I shift through the stack of papers on the desk, eyes narrowed in concentration. Laura and some of the other witches under my employ have been looking for information about last week's arson attack. There have been no word of a confession or apology from the witch who started the fire. It's been a fairly straightforward case, but nonetheless. We'll have to speak to him before the counselors and the witnesses at the end of the week. Hopefully then, he'll finally confess something. Good luck. He's stubborn as a rock. In a chair in front of me, Walt smiles.
Have you told Delora about that other thing you've been planning, Lucette?
Other thing?
Other thing?
I turned to Delora. Next week is the anniversary of the day Angel was saved. It's the last day. It's the day I lost my mother. Again. And the day Angel became peaceful once more. Oh, right. Any fancy celebratory things happening this year?
I may have suggested something special.
I hope you did not. I do not need a fancy celebration. Every year the townsfolk decorate a town with lilies to thank me for what I did. And every year, Waltz tries to plan some special event on the anniversary. This year, he will not be the only one coming up with a surprise. I shake my head to clear it. I can think about the surprise I have planned for Waltz later. For now, I need to focus on the anniversary celebration. Fancy celebrations aside, I would like to at least give a speech this year. Don't you do that every year? Yes, but I normally address the populace as the Queen of Angel. Look at her, resolute. This year, I will give a speech as the Town Bearer. I think it's kind of obvious that it should be this one. Right?
I was actually thinking the other one.
Oh, really? What's your reasoning?
Huh?
What's your
Because
reasoning?
she's not talking as royalty. She's talking in her other job. Something her father couldn't be.
Yeah,
True.
right.
I was like,
I feel
like mine was
my
like the
thought
same.
process is she's also trying to appeal to the fact that she has to be both. And people the average Joe probably doesn't think about the fact that she has to be both.
Because I'm thinking since she's talking with the Town Bear, it only makes sense she talks about the former one, and she is like the complete opposite of her mom. And she's also a witch too, so it's like... Okay, Greyhawk says better than mother is his vote. So that's 2 for that one, 1 for the other. Willie, what are you thinking?
Ooh, it's 2 and 2.
Oh. Fuck.
What you thinking, Willie?
I already gave my answer. I'm agreeing with you. It's 2 and 2.
I'm still
Tied.
thinking. It's debate time! I'm still thinking because she's talking to Tim Bear. Her mother was the former one.
But everybody
And start
knows
this
she's
conflict.
better than her mom. They're not dying.
Yeah, but like, there's some people that wish she was, and since humans are still having hate crimes against witches, they're still hating them, and then they might not like Lucette because she is also a witch. Therefore, she has to be like, look, I'm not my mom, and not all witches are
Are
bad.
you on fire?
Oh, okay. So, Greyhawk says Nathan says father. Okay, well, that's
There you
leaning
go.
more there. Okay, oh.
There you go.
Flippy
Thanks,
says
Nathan.
Jackson says the other one. God damn it, Candy! Now we're tied again.
And furthermore, wait.
Hold on, I'm gonna get up and
Wait.
grab a D20. I have one,
Wait,
like...
wait.
I'm waiting!
Wait.
My ass is waiting.
Call it high or low.
No, I'm gonna roll a die. Fuck you.
I have a dice in my hand.
I have a metal D20 I got with my book subscription set, because it's to help
Yeah?
decide what
I have a
book to
metal
read.
D20 that I got from Ryan. Now I'll call it high or low.
I already
My
have a metal
God.
D20, and I rolled it, and the D20 is odd, so that's father. In the past, I was feared as Hilda's daughter.
I wasted a natural 20 on that.
But you called it a dice, so it doesn't count, James. Get wrecked, Willie. Right. When I learned the truth about her being the one to start the Great War, I disassociated myself from her. I single-mindedly chased after my father's legacy and compared myself to him. But I cannot and should not use the same procedures you use to try to connect with the witches. I can't just be a queen, I must be a bearer as well. A bearer that does things differently from my mother, one who strives to keep balance.
Well, you're well on your way there, Lucette.
And that would not be the only case if you two were not here helping me. I owe you both a lot. You owe us nothing. We want to be here.
It's the truth.
Thank you. I cross my arms. Okay, that ended up being the right one. Interesting.
Get wrecked.
Speaking about my own efforts, though, I'm not my father. I'm considering a different way to unite this kingdom, something that breaks down some of the barriers currently in place. It sounds like you have a lot more than speech in mind. I have a proposition. I clench my hands in my lap and take a deep breath. I've been mulling over this latest idea with Waltz over the last few days. I realized recently that I only employ witches for security purposes. But if all of us, humans, witches, and fairies, are to exist together in harmony, we must have more of a say in what happens next in this kingdom. I would like to add witches and fairies to the council. Laura gaps at me. Waltz, on the other hand, is smiling brightly. What? Is it a bad idea? Not at all. Actually, it's quite brilliant. Your mother kept only witch advisors, and your father's counselors were all human. If you can bring in witches and fairies, you'll be showing everyone you're actively pushing for more inclusivity. Exactly. Laura falls back in her chair with a little laugh. You and Cinna never failed to amaze me. I have to thank Cinna for his advice, even if it was a little brusque. Do you think he'll speak at this year's anniversary as Lucius Bear if I asked him? Laura snorts. He's so self-important. He'll probably ask why you didn't invite him to do it earlier. She stands in their chair with a stretch. Do you want me to extend the invitation to him? No, I should do it personally. I think he would be offended if I passed the message on to you. Fair enough. Laura looks at Waltz. Are you coming back with me to the tavern?
Of course. I can't disappoint the kids.
He glances at me.
Sure you don't want to tag along for a magic lesson? It's always fun to watch the kids practice their magic.
Yes, Waltz's magic lessons. I do plan on visiting him during his lessons today, even though he doesn't know it. But first, there's something I must do. I have to organize this paperwork first. I'll see you at the merchant later. We'll see you then, Your Majesty. Waltz stands and leans over to plant a kiss on my hand. Or head.
See you later. I'll see you later, you little star.
I wait a couple of minutes after they leave the next room. Wait, they leave to exit the room. The person I'm looking for is in the dining hall, absently spooning soup into his mouth as Emmeline talks at length about something he clearly has no interest in.
Yay!
He looks up as I approach.
There you are.
Oh, Lisette! Did you and Rod have plans?
No, she's just here for this.
Rod reaches into his pocket and pulls out a little box, which he hands it to me.
Is it possibly Neverland? Here.
Thank you for holding on to this for me. Is that? Yes. Days ago, when I went to town looking for an item stored in this box, I found Emmeline discussing this gift with her. That same day, Rod walked into our conversation and offered to keep it hidden in his room until I needed it. I found it strange at the time that Emmeline didn't immediately offer, but she confessed Rod is better at keeping secrets than she is. The confession didn't surprise me in the slightest. Still, I'm grateful for Rod's offer. Waltz is awfully intuitive. If I'd left a surprise for him in my room, he probably would have realized I was hiding something. Emmeline beams. Today's the day you're going to give it to them, then? Yes. I can't wait to hear all about it. Rod sighs.
It will be a nice change of topic at dinner tonight.
He looks pointedly at Emmeline.
Grumpy. Grumpy boy.
It'll be nice to not hear about Prince Lance for a change.
Emmeline flushes. You asked what he said in his last letter.
That was a long time ago, Em. You've been talking about him for 1 whole hour.
Wow.
Emmeline buries her face in her hands. I'm sorry I went off on the tangent again. Rod sighs.
Just let Prince Lance fill in some details when he arrives.
When I look at him quizzically, Rod shrugs.
Prince Lance wrote in his most recent letter that he and Claude plan on visiting for this year's anniversary. Yay!
He said we'll be arriving any time this week, but it's a surprise when.
Every day, N wakes up and asks if there's reports of their carriage on the border.
Rod! Rod dips his head slightly as if to hide his smile. Rod, perhaps if you spoke more about your own affairs, Emmeline would not have to fill the silences with talk of Prince Lance. Rod scoffs.
I have nothing to talk about.
You always say that when it's not true. Lucette, did you know that Rod received flowers from a secret admirer when he was out in town yesterday? I told him he ought to write a letter back, but he refused. Emmeline told me once that Rod was in love with one of her friends, the woman at the toy shop named Viorica. But with that love, which one flared so brightly, it blew out years ago when Viorica married. It's strange to think of Rod in love, even now.
There's no point in giving someone false hope when you're not interested in them.
Then who would interest you? Emmeline puts her hands on the table and leans forward. Lucette and I can try to set you up with someone. No.
No.
The two of us speak in unison before exchanging relieved glances. No? I am terrible at matchmaking. I don't believe that.
I've told you a million times, I'm not interested, Em. I'd rather listen to you talk all day about Prince Lance than have you try to set me up with someone.
The words come out with a groan. If you insist. It occurs to me blatantly that I don't have the time for this conversation. I step away from the table. I'll leave you two to your conversation. For now, I have a delivery to make. Emmeline's eyes are sparkling when she smiles at me. Good luck, Lucette.
Good luck.
I like how he does literally nothing in the rest of the stories.
Yep.
I offer my sincerest thanks to both of them before heading to my room. I move this gift into another box, one I think will be appropriate. About an hour later, I set off to town with a bag in hand. Accompanied by two knights, I make my way towards the food stalls where I purchased an assortment of chocolate. This idea came to me last minute, but, well, I think lots of students would appreciate a treat after this lesson. I stick the set carefully into my bag as I head over to the tavern. When I arrive by a carriage, I dismiss the two knights and head to the tavern alone. I expect to see Waltz and the students in the tavern when I step inside, but I'm greeted with a much more unexpected sight instead.
Oh, if it isn't the beautiful Ice Queen.
Claude, heir to the throne of Brigantia, casually reclines in a chair that's the center of the room. He sits at a table with Delora, Senna, and his younger brother Lance. Even had I never met Prince Lance before, I would recognize him as Claude's brother. The two of them have the same fiery red hair and similar features. Whereas Claude is full of crooked smiles and secrets, Prince Lance is earnest and honest.
Karma, you shouldn't call her that.
Prince Lance looks at me apologetically.
Ignore my brother, your majesty.
Prince Lance bows.
It's a pleasure to see you again, Queen Lucette.
It's nice to see you both too. I walk over to the table. What is all of this? Emmeline said you were coming for the anniversary celebration. When did you get here?
A few hours ago. We parked the carriage a distance away, so as not to draw attention.
And why exactly are you here?
How disheartening to get such a cold reception even from you, Lucette.
Senna mumbles something beneath his breath.
Of course you're an unwelcome guest. No one appreciates having a spontaneous visitor, especially when that visitor interrupts something important.
Important? Were you not just hunting for insects in the forest?
Don't demean my hobbies.
Delora laughs. It's good to have you here, Lucette. Maybe you can stop these two fighting every 2 minutes. She crosses his arms. The princelings here barged in while Waltz was in the middle of his lessons.
Lady Delora, you make it sound as if I was intruding. You know my intention was to come and catch up before my brother and I went to the palace.
Whatever your intention, you still interrupted Waltz's lesson.
Where is Waltz now? He took his students to the forest when the princess showed up. He said he needed quiet for today's lessons. Laura suddenly seems to notice the bag I'm carrying. What's in the bag? It's, something for Waltz. Claude leans over. He spots the chocolate inside before I can snatch the bag away.
You brought him some chocolate. How sweet.
There's a sudden sound, a low rumble that permeates the pleasant quiet. Senna is smirking.
And you said you weren't hungry, Prince.
I figured I could wait to eat until we were at the palace.
Prince Lance sighs.
We could have been there by now if you didn't insist on this stopover.
If I'd known two of them were visiting today, I would have brought them something. I glanced down at the chocolate, which was meant to be for Waltz's students, but I wonder if it would be a small kindness to give them to the Almonte brothers.
Nope, fuck them. Give it to the kids.
Okay.
Kids.
Nope, fuck them.
2 votes for kids. I'm on the fence. Whee!
Nope.
It's
Fuck
kind
'em.
of high up here. It's a very tall fence.
Nope, fuck them.
I want to see if the audience has any opinions.
Kids.
Children. Okay, okay. Greyhawk says children.
Of course.
Children it is. Boop. Fuck the
Kids.
adults. It's children.
Yeah.
Oh,
Claude gets
Katie
the
said
pension
princess.
as is.
No, I purposely bought these for students as a reward. Besides, Claude's hunger will not be satiated with chocolate.
Oh, they won't.
I'm sure the kitchen staff would be more happy than to prepare something for you as soon as you arrive. Though, I wish you had let me know you were coming sooner. I'm the queen after all. It's my diplomatic responsibility to welcome you. Claude shrugs.
You know, I don't expect formalities or favors from you, Lucette.
You know, it would be foolish of him to expect those things in the first place. After all, you're speaking to a prince who came to a rundown tavern before even thinking to announce himself to the queen.
She makes a fair point.
Senna scoffs.
I can't believe you're going to be the king of Brigantia someday.
Senna, manners. Just imagine him as
No.
king. He just goes and visits the first, like, rundown tavern before. Alright. Well, to bigger, Claude leans towards me with a smile.
Waltz is in a clearing just beyond the back door.
Thank you, Claude. Be gone. Alright, I glance between him and Lance. You two are not going to disappear before I come back, yes?
You can be rest assured that we'll still be here. My secret adventure days are over.
No more Miss Karma, I take it? Claude smiles, a little wistfully.
I'm afraid not. I rather miss those days, though.
Lance sighs.
I don't. While you were here in Angio, we all thought you were dead.
Ah, yes, that part was unfortunate.
I leave the two brothers to reminisce as I head outside. The moon has risen by the time I step outside.
The entire room is...
Woo! Okay. The moon has risen by the time I step outside. Just as Claude said, I find Waltz and his students, but in a nearby clearing.
So, you want to try it again, or shall we break for the night?
The children all let out a collective sigh. I feel so tired. I bet I'm going to fall asleep as soon as my head hits the pillow.
I'm so tired, I think I'll fall asleep right here.
Waltz laughs.
I told you before not to strain yourselves. Magic takes a huge toll on the body.
That it does. You should be careful not to overwork yourself, Mr. Magician.
Wrecked.
Waltz startles when I push through the trees.
Hypocrisy!
It's the queen!
Will you take this one?
Her Majesty is here!
There you go.
Yay!
Hello, everyone. I see you're hard at work. I walk over to Waltz and kiss his cheek. The children mumble, hiding smiles and giggles behind their hands.
I didn't think you'd be able to make it.
I thought I would surprise you. I hold up the bag, which Waltz eyes with curiosity.
What's inside?
I pull out a box of chocolates. I thought I would buy you something for all the hard work. I thought I would buy something for all the hard-working witches here. Is that?
Chocolate!
The children scramble towards me excitedly, thanking me in turn as I give them each a piece of chocolate.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
We're blessed to have a queen as kind and beautiful as you are. Waltz beams at me.
We are, aren't we? And the queen can use magic too, just like us. She's very, very talented.
You over-exaggerate. Waltz leans forward and whispers.
You need to stop being so humble. You're the Tenenbaum Bear.
I know, but still. Waltz's eyes fall again to the bag.
Is there a treat in there for me too?
There is, actually. He actually looks taken aback.
Just, oh shit. There is?
It's like that one time I came home with a bouquet of flowers, and it was like, oh, did you buy those flowers for me? I'm like, actually, yes. And then my dad looked so surprised, and I was like, oh, I made his day. I laugh. Yes, it's something for you. His eyes light up.
Do we get to see it now?
It's an after-lesson treat, I'm afraid.
You're just in time then. We're just wrapping things up here.
Get out of here, you little bastards. Oh, that's mine. Your Majesty!
One of the young witches bounds forward.
Can you show us your magic?
Another child nods excitedly. I want to see Her Majesty's magic too! The thought of using my magic, even just in front of the children, makes me feel suddenly embarrassed. I really flaunt my magic. I don't think I'm bad at, by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't possess the creativity Waltz does. Waltz snaps his fingers.
What if the princess gave a preview for the lesson we're going to learn next time? The one you're all so excited about?
Barriers!
Barriers we can use to be heroes!
What the fuck?
What a
Barriers.
dick. What a dick.
I mean, look at that smile. If that doesn't say I can be an
What a
asshole
mug.
when I want to be, I don't know what does.
Smug.
What a dick.
They were the very first magic I learned from Waltz. I was impatient then, I remember. All I wanted was to learn how to use offensive spells. Waltz, you know I'm not a teacher.
You don't need to be. All I'm asking for is a demonstration.
Demonstration. Waltz nods, a soft smile on his face.
I'm going to use an attack, and you can show the children which barrier they should use to defend against it.
So you want me to assess the situation and cast the right barrier?
Exactly.
I go back to the children, who look at me hopefully. Alright.
Level 9 fireball.
Alright, I suppose I could help you with your demonstration.
That's my little star.
Waltz blows me a kiss as he puts distance between us. I set my bag down by a nearby tree and move to stand before him.
Alright, let's begin, shall we?
Because this is just a preview for an upcoming lesson, Waltz skims over the details. He explains that there are two types of barriers, one that shields and one that deflects. Powerful spells cannot be deflected, while weak spells can. Listening to him makes me feel nostalgic. Waltz turns to me after the explanation.
Alright, Queen and I are gonna put on a very small mock battle. She's going to use the right barrier to block my spells, and then I'll tell you why she used it. Sound good?
The young witches shout their agreement.
Alright then.
Waltz begins to gather energy for its spell. I can tell by his relaxed posture and breathing that it's not a spell that requires great concentration. So it's a small one, deflector.
Yep.
I gather the magic quickly at my fingertips and bring my deflector to life just as Waltz shoots his magic towards me. The sparkling energy reflects off the shield and bounces back toward him. Waltz immediately dodges, and the energy sweeps over the grass harmlessly. Does that mean if they keep doing deflective spells, they can just have the spell bounce back and forth like forever, or does it wear out eventually? That's what I want to know.
Oh boy. Reflectors in Smash Bros.
We immediately
Oh my god, yeah.
Waltz, I'm just trying to picture this and I can't. Oh my god, it's too much. Waltz immediately dodges and the energy sweeps over the grass harmlessly. The children clap as Waltz takes a bow.
And there you have it. Now, can anyone tell me what sort of barrier the queen used?
A deflector, because the magic came back?
That's right. It was a weak spell, so the queen could send my magic back at me.
Waltz shakes his head.
But remember, don't use deflectors unless you need to surprise your enemy to escape. Reflecting someone's magic back at them can be dangerous. A barrier, even a small one, that ends up cracking is much safer for everyone.
The children nod and mumble amongst each other. Waltz looks up at me, his eyes creased in a smile.
You were perfect. Thanks, Lucette.
Of course. Waltz dismisses the children shortly after our demonstration. They bow and give us their thanks as they leave the forest.
I'm glad you got to meet them all tonight, Lucette. They ask about you all the time. I know you're busy, but I'd love if you came to these lessons when you had spare time. You'd make a great assistant.
He pauses, then shakes his head.
No, I think I'd like to take a break and be your assistant for a change.
You are a far better teacher than I. Waltz raises an eyebrow.
That's not true. You were an excellent teacher growing up.
He steps towards me, closing the distance between us.
You taught me how to make puppets for my shows, and how to perform for an audience.
But you were just performing for me back then. It's not the same thing as performing for an audience. Waltz reaches out to tuck a stray lock of hair behind my ear.
It doesn't matter. You taught me how to captivate.
If you say so. Waltz laughs.
Little star, you need to stop selling yourself short. Kids love you. You'd make an excellent teacher.
When I am able, I'll try to attend your lessons.
Huh.
We would all love that.
Then glance back at the bag I set by the tree, up in the moonlight coming through the trees. I think it's dark enough here for what I have planned.
Lucette?
Told you I had an after-lesson treat. I bring the bag over to Waltz. There is a childish wonder in his eyes when he looks at me. It warms my heart like nothing else. Waltz has the heart of a child, a heart full of wonder and optimism. There's no one that can bring a smile to my face like he can. That is why, when he proposed to me a year ago, I didn't hesitate to say yes. I always wanted him to stay here by my side. I've always wanted him. All of him. For me. I remember the moment we stood there in the same clearing years ago, before facing Mother. Waltz told me darkness made a light glow brighter. He showed me that light. Now I'll show him that same light. I will show him that what he means to me.
Little star, you're keeping me in suspense here.
I smile. And then I snap my fingers. Little balls of light spring to life. In the darkness, they look like hovering fireflies. Waltz's eyes glimmer in that light as he looks around in wonder.
Well, this is a familiar spell.
It's not the only thing that's familiar. I reach into my bag and take out the gift I prepared. His eyes widen when he sees it. Yup, it's Neverland.
Yay! Is that Neverland?
I slide an intricate key out from my pocket. It's the only key that can open the box. Tinkerbell. I hand both the key and box to Waltz. Open it. Once upon a time, this box held Waltz's magic in it. Now I like to think it holds his future. Waltz carefully takes the box and key from me. He looks misty, like he's holding back tears.
This box has so much history.
It does, and its role in our story is not even done yet. My heart flares as Walt slides the key into the box. I've never been as nervous as I am now, watching him. The box opens with a soft click, revealing the gift Rod has been holding for me, a thing I've been trying to keep a secret from Waltz. Walt stares in shock at the ring that lays inside. Ooh, it's a little star.
Aw. Lucette, what?
1 year ago, you proposed to me, Waltz Cresswell. You slid a ring onto my finger and promised me you would be by my side forever. In the months that passed, I kept putting off the wedding date. I told you I was not ready for the future because I had to figure out the present first. But what you said a few days ago made me realize that we can't overthink things. In order to change the present, we must work towards the future. Days ago, I told you I'd never wanted you to keep me in the dark. We both agreed to walk together in the future hand in hand. Now, I want to show you I mean everything I said with this ring. You bought me one, and it's only fair we seal the deal with two.
So, the wedding...
I have planned for it to be the day before the anniversary celebration.
Lucette.
Waltz's voice is uncharacteristically strained. I can see now that there are tears in his eyes. I wait with anticipation for him to say something. Instead, he leans forward and, without preamble, presses his lips to mine.
Yay.
His lips are soft and warm against my own, but resolute. When he kisses me, it feels like I'm home. It feels like I found my way to the light at the end of a dark path. Kissing Waltz is like basking in sunshine. When I throw my arms around his neck and deepen our kiss, I feel as if half of me has clicked into place. My shadow, which had watched over me from a distance all these years, is finally here to stay. With Waltz, I feel as if I can face anything, even the uncertainty that is the future. As his tongue glides over my lips, I let myself lose myself in this kiss. That felt weirdly phrased. In this moment, there is nothing but the two of us.
A little bit.
Waltz takes an abrupt step backward and catches me in a hug when I fall into him. We both tumble to the ground, laughing.
Is that answer enough for you, little star?
He kisses me softly on the cheek, then on my jawline, beneath my ear. Each kiss makes warmth blossom beneath my skin and heat pools in my stomach. I hope so.
I would have waited forever you to set that date, but...
He wraps his arms around me and kisses my forehead.
I can't put into words how happy it makes me that you asked me now, like this.
He holds up his hand, and a thrill goes through me at the sight of the ring on his finger.
I will treasure this always.
And I will treasure you always. Waltz kisses me again, another soft, sweet kiss on the lips.
Thank you, little star. I love you with all my heart.
I love you too, Waltz. Or me too, Waltz. The two of us lay there in each other's arms, gazing up at the stars between the canopies. Some time passes before reality begins to sink in. The Brigantian princes are still in the tavern, and everyone in the palace is probably worried for me. I sit up and pat down my hair with a grumble.
Time to get going.
Everyone's gonna insist I start bringing knights with me at this rate. Waltz takes my offered hand with a smile and rises.
Let's head back to the marching then.
Everyone is exactly where I left them when I returned. Delora looks almost relieved when we reappear. Finally, it took you too long enough.
There's only so long we can sit here entertaining a spoiled prince before he gets on our last nerve.
Excuse me for boring you with my stories.
Not everyone likes the chameleon stories, Karma.
Waltz looks intrigued.
You like chameleons, Claude? I do. Do you like them?
Please don't encourage him, Waltz. Cinna glances at me as the three of them talk about chameleons, whatever those are.
I was not expecting that.
Dolores said you had something you wanted to ask me.
Oh right, the anniversary speech. I bring up my proposal to Cinna, who, as Delora predicted, is agitated I did not bring it up sooner.
I'm offended you didn't invite me to do a speech last year.
Right on the nose.
Like we all know.
I barely knew you last year. The fairy crosses his arms and looks moodedly at the table.
I appreciate you asking, I suppose. I'll make some time to give a speech.
Thank you, Cinna. Cinna just responds with a shrug. His eyes flits to Waltz, who's speaking animatedly with Claude about chameleons.
I see you gave him your ring.
How did you...
Don't underestimate how perceptive I am.
He looks at Waltz, thoughtful, and he does a strange thing. He smiles.
I'm happy for you both.
Oh, okay. Thank you. This has always been my greatest wish, and it's wonderful to see it fulfilled. Cinna crosses his arms, looking thoughtful.
A wish, huh? Did you know us fairies can grant wishes?
You can? Cinna nods.
Now the rules have changed since the Great War, but every fairy can grant one wish. I've always thought wishes were foolish. Why would humans wish for something they can accomplish on their own? Achieving something by your own merit is always more satisfying.
That is very true.
What are you two discussing over there?
Nothing important. Now, you gonna escort the princess back to the palace, or?
Yes, Claude, Prince Lance, let us go. We're on our way out when Delora calls my name. Lucette, congratulations. For what? You didn't think I wouldn't notice the ring on Waltz's finger? I hope you plan on inviting us to the wedding. How could I not? You're the one who insisted we put ourselves first for a change. Delora grins. I'm always here to remind you of the important things. You and Senna both. Who knew watching over two bears would be so difficult?
You act as if you're my mother.
Delora snorts. Just remember you said that, not me. Senna doesn't say anything to that, just rolls on his heels and stomps away. Kids. I shake my head, smiling. Thank you, Delora, for everything. Thank you for all your hard work. In the end, you turned out to be a pretty good Tenenbaum bearer. And you turned out to be a pretty good mentor. I'll never get tired of hearing those compliments from you. Delora smiles at me gently. Good night, Lucette. Good night, Delora. I leave the tavern that night with a heart so light it feels like it could take off, flying at any moment. Chapter 5! We're making good time so far. Do we want to take another break or keep pushing?
I definitely want to take another break.
Alright, we are gonna take another break.
Yeah, this is like killing my